Variables in Visual Basic for application. Variables are frequently used in VBA programs, and a variable is a place to store information. This information can be a text, a number, or a formula. Syntax for assigning a value to a variable in VBA is variable =, expression. So the expression can be a text, a number, or a formula. Suppose we have a program to calculate the speed of a moving object. So the input would be distance and time. The program would divide distance by time and return the speed as the output. So in this program we would have three variables: distance, time, and speed. Variable names like subroutine names cannot include comma, period, and other punctuation marks other than underscore. It can include some numbers, but it cannot start with a number. And a common way to name a variable in VBA is to capitalize the words. These are three examples for naming a variable in VBA, using underscore between the words or capitalizing the words. And in this case, the first word is not capitalized. Variables can be self-referenced in formulas to change the value of the variable. So while a program is running, the value of a variable might change for several times. Now let's write a subroutine to show some examples of how to assign values to variables in VBA. I would type sub my variables, enter. Here I would type distance as my first variable, and I would assign 10 to this variable. Name is my second variable, and here I would type John. I would define a third variable here, t, which is equal to 2. Now speed, which is equal to distance divided by t. So here I have assigned numbers to my variables, text, and also a formula. When it is a text, make sure to use this double quotation mark. And for numbers and formulas, there's no need for this double quote. Now I want to ask this program to show these variables in specific cells in spreadsheet. So I would use the syntax range.value =, and then the variable. So range parentheses dot value inside parentheses double quote inside double quote a1 equals to distance. Now if I copy this statement, this time I'm going to change this to A2 and this one to name. Again, I would copy this statement here. I would change this to B1, and here I would type speed. So when you're assigning a cell to show you a variable or a value, you need to use this syntax, range parentheses dot value on the left side of =, and if you want to get from a cell, you need to use variable =, range parentheses dot value. So when you're writing to a cell, you need to put this statement on the left side of =. When you're getting from a cell, you need to write this on the right side of the =. So here when I hit the run button, and when I go back to my spreadsheet, I can see A1 is showing distance as 10, John is written here in A2, and B2 is showing the result of the formula, which is distance divided by t, 10 divided by 2. I can also use the input box statement when I want to assign a value to a variable. Now suppose I want to ask the user to input the length and width of a rectangle, and then I'm gonna multiply them and get the surface area for the rectangle. So here I would type A is equal to input box, open the parentheses, and here in double quotation mark I would type what I want the pop-up window to display. So please enter the length. Now if I copy this to the next line, here I would change A to B and this one to width. Now I would define the surface area. S is equal to A times B, and here I would ask this program to show the result in one of the cells. So I would use this command here. Range C1 dot value, and here S. Now I can get rid of this part, and here I can change the name of my subroutine to my rectangle. So when I hit the run button, it would ask me the length. If I enter 12, enter. Now for the width, if I enter 5, enter. So if I go back to my spreadsheet, I can see that the result of the surface area is written in cell C1. Now suppose I want this subroutine to display a pop-up window that shows the phrase that the surface area of this rectangle is equal to this S variable. So I would need to use the concatenation operation. So this operation can join several strings together, and strings are a type of variable in VBA which can be a sequence of characters, and these characters can be numbers or letters. So here I would define a new variable, first phrase, equal sign, double quotation mark, and here the surface area of the rectangle is colon, space, and enter. Second phrase, and here I would type S. Now here I would use the message box. Command, and here first phrase and second phrase. So this is the concatenation syntax in VBA. Now if I run this subroutine, it would ask me the length, 12, enter, 5, enter, and in addition to this cell, it would also show this phrase for me: the surface area of the rectangle is 60. So pay attention to this syntax. If I change this n to the plus sign and then run this program, it would pop up this error message for me because I have changed the standard syntax for concatenation operation. It is very common to declare your variables in the beginning of a subroutine. In this subroutine, I have not declared my variables. I just assign this value to study hours as my variable, and next command is writing this variable into cell D1. Now, if I run this program and go back to my spreadsheet, number 8 is displayed in D1. What if there is some misspelling here? This time, if I run this program, there is no output here in my spreadsheet. And this is because of this misspelling here, but there is no error message that shows me what the problem is. So in such cases, it's better to declare your variables in the beginning of the subroutine. So if there is any mistake or misspelling, an error message would show you where the problem is coming from. And this is how we declare our variables in the beginning of the subroutine. So in one line, in the first line, before the name of the subroutine, you need to type Option Explicit. After subroutine name, you need to type this syntax, dim, space, and then type your variables. In this case, it is study hours. Then the data type. So the data type for my study hours is integer or single. I would type as integer. So my variable type is declared here, and this time if I hit the run button, this error message pops up and shows me where the problem is coming from. So I would be given the chance to correct my mistake and then run the program, go back to the spreadsheet, and number 8 is shown here. Here is the syntax for declaring your variables in the beginning of a VBA subroutine. So you need to type dim variable name as data type. Dim is short for dimension and is originally the command used for defining the size and dimension of arrays in basic language. So you can also declare several variables in one line. Then you need to put commas between them. So for my, if my name is the variable, so it is a string, my address is a string, and my age is a single or integer. These are the several types of data when you're declaring them in the beginning of the subroutine. The data can be a string, integer, it can be single precision or double precision, or it can be a Boolean. So single precision is those numbers including integers and decimal values in the order of 10 to the power of 30. Double precision includes integers and decimal values in the order of 10 to the power of 300. So the space which is set aside for single variables is 32 bits, while for double precision variables 64 bits is set aside when you declare the variable. Finally, we have Boolean variables, which is a logical value like true and false. So we have these different data type that you need to declare in the beginning of your subroutine, and make sure to add option explicit for the first line of your subroutine before the name of the subroutine. Why is it important to declare the variables in the beginning of the subroutine? Why don't we just declare all text as string and all numbers as double? So the answer is every data type requires different amount of storage, resulting in slower or faster performance of the program. So here is an example of Boolean data type. I have added this option explicit for the first line. This command will force you to declare your variables before you write the program. So otherwise it will pop up an error message for you. Now the name for this subroutine is greater than 10 and compares the value in cell B2 to determine if it is greater than 10. Next, I have declared my variables, dim answer as Boolean, x as integer. This one will insert this text into cell A1. This one will insert this text into A2. This command will get the value of x from cell B1. In this line, the value of x would be compared to 10. And the last line of the subroutine will display the result in cell B2. Now if I run this subroutine and I go back to my spreadsheet, this text is inserted in A1, this one in A2, and here it is considering the value in B1 as 0. That's why false is displayed here. Now if I type 12, enter, and I go to my macros, select my subroutine and run it, it will display true. VBA will override variables if a new value is assigned to the variable name. If you want to keep a value constant to prevent accidentally overwriting the value in your code, declare the variable as a constant. And here is the syntax for declaring a variable as a constant. So constant name as data type equals sign the value. Here's an example, const pi as single equals sign 3.141.